guys, so we're going to do a very quick video if you need help choosing a mutual fund and writing the equations for it. So you click on the link above, read all the details of what you're looking for. And remember that a mutual fund is an account that you are investing in. So this is possible that you lose your money, but also your money will grow at a much higher rate. Two things you want to be paying attention to. You want to pay attention to the 20-year return, because that is the amount of money you're making. That's the APY. Okay, so the APY is the percentage of growth on your money. And then you also want to pay attention to the expense ratio, because the expense ratio is the money that you're paying. So this is a percent of the money that you have to pay as a fee. So you just go through and you choose one. It doesn't matter which one you choose, but obviously you want one that has a higher APY and a lower expense ratio. So you're going to make that decision. For me, I'm going to choose this one. Let's see. I will choose the T. Rowe Price Dividend Growth, which has this APY and this expense ratio. Don't choose the same one. So you're going to choose a different one. So what you're going to do now is you're going to go back to the document, okay? Write in the name of the mutual fund that you just chose. So like T. Rowe, whatever it is, blah, blah, blah. The 20-year rate of return was 8.74, and you're writing a percent sign with that because that is a percent, so you must put the percent sign. The expense ratio was 0.63, and again, that is a percent, so I put the percent sign with that. So now it tells me that it is compounded annually. So I go back to the orange box and I look for the compounded annually formula, and it looks like this. Oops, not like that at all. P times 1 plus R to the T power. The reason why N is not here is because N would be 1. And so annually means that the N equals 1, and so when you divide by 1 or multiply by 1, it stays the same. That's why I don't have to put the N in. So now I'm going to write out my equation. So remember, I start with Y equals, P is the initial investment, and it's still that money from the long-lost uncle. I'm going to use different numbers here. Remember, go back and see how much your uncle gave you. I'm going to put 8,000. You're going to put a different number. Then I'm going to put 1 plus, because I'm just following the formula that I see right here, the initial value, parenthesis, 1 plus. My rate always has to be the percent divided by 100. So for the rate, I'm going to take 8.74% and divide that by 100. And that gives me 0.0874. That's what goes in for the R. And then the T is time. So this is the equation representing the total amount of money. So this is how much money I'm earning. So that's why this is the money I'm earning after 10 years. So there's my time right there. So the exponent will be 10. I put this in my calculator and I find out what I get. So I put that quickly in my calculator, in my Desmos calculator. And I put that amount here. Remember that your amount is going to be different than mine. Okay, you also need to use the Desmos and screenshot, or you're going to handwrite it. 91.97. Or we can round to the nearest dollar, doesn't matter. So earnings. Earnings is the total that I have here minus what I started with. So in my case, 49, you know what, I'm just going to round this to the nearest dollar. Make my life a little easier. Minus, and in my case, I had started with 8,000. Yours will be different. And that's going to leave me with 10,492. That's how much money I earn. So that's what I earn. That's great. That means I earned $10,000 in 10 years, and I didn't have to work for it at all. Next is the expenses. So remember that the expenses are also growing over time. So I'm going to do the same calculations to see how much I have to pay them based on the expense ratio. So I start the equation the same way. It starts with Y equals and then the initial value. So that's what I'm going to write here. Y equals, my initial in my case is 8,000. Yours is going to be different. Yours is whatever your uncle gave you to invest. Parenthesis 1 plus. Now I'm going to take my rate, okay, and I have to divide it, always a percent, divided by 100. And that's the number that I'm going to put here. Close parenthesis. And then I'm going to move that over a little bit. Okay. And then the exponent is always the time. So here again it says 10 years. So I put 10 as my exponent. Great. So I put this in my calculator. Remember that you are not using the same numbers as me. You are using different numbers. And that tells me 8,519 because I'm going to round to the nearest dollar. And then to find my expenses, I take the total amount after 10 years and I subtract the initial. So minus my 8,000 that I started with, and that's $519. So this is my expenses. So over 10 years, I had to pay $519, but I earned $10,492. So this is what I earned, this is what I pay. So to find profit, you're just going to subtract that because profit is how much money you make in the end. So I'm just going to subtract how much money I earned minus how much money I had to pay expenses. So that is $10,492. I got that number from looking here. And then I subtract 519, and I got that number from looking here. And my total profit is $9,973. So that's awesome. That's how much profit I'm making in 10 years.